Hello and welcome. So great to be here with all of you this evening. So for those of you who are here with us live or those who are registered and will be taking this in through the recording, it's awesome to be here with you today. My name is Becca Marshall. I am an integrative wellness coach and psychotherapist and the founder of Active Exchange. And tonight we get to gather together for this empowering health wellness event, activating alignment, practicing what we preach. I'm so excited to be collaborating here with Stacy tonight. I'm going to introduce you in just a moment. So to speak about this topic. So as we're tuning in, if you want to put your name in the chat and the location of where you're tuning in from, it's always really nice to see where we are. And so I'll just share, I currently am in Richmond, Virginia. And so we're moving into the evening hours over here on the East Coast. Thank you, Carly, tuning in from Washington State, all the way on the other side here of the US. And Stacy, awesome, Boulder, Colorado. So I love look at that. We have like a triangle going on here tonight. And that's just really cool to see. So this is something that actually Stacy had mentioned, that a little bit later, you might want a piece of paper, you might want a pen, something to work with, something to write with. So if you don't have that, go ahead and take a moment. So yeah, I think that's everything. Stacy, anything I'm missing as we're getting started?
Yeah, if you have any other like art mediums, so colored pencils, crayons, markers, maybe it's just a mixture of colored pens or Sharpies, but definitely some paper, a pen, and then any other creative medium that you may have around you, definitely grab and gather that now.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll just take a second, and if anybody's taking in the recording, feel free to pause us and gather the materials, gather the things. And I'll just say, as everybody's doing that these empowering health events are collaborative. We've been running them for a couple of years here at Active Exchange now, and we're offering these every other month. And usually there's an offering monthly. And so I just wanted to take a second to share that coming up actually on November 19th, so it's a Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. I have been invited to collaborate with Rasa Healing, that is founded by Candace Rasa. And there is going to be, she's hosting an offering for an interfaith prayer circle to offer blessings and prayers, intentions of peace in the world with all that's been unfolding lately. And I'm very honored to have been invited to share an opening invocation and prayer with the group. So more will be coming out in our emails about that, but that's like the next event here. And then we'll kind of have a few things coming on in December, so stay tuned for any announcements. And Stacy, I meant to ask you ahead of time, is there anything that you want to speak to? And we'll also be sending a follow-up email to everybody who registered, so we can put information in there too. But let me just turn that to you for a sec.
Yeah, thank you. No upcoming events on my end. I'll share more about my personal story and kind of where I'm at in my current life right now. But always openings for individual therapy and breath work.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, and that's a perfect segue. So allow me to introduce Stacy Wallace here with me this evening. I'm so excited to be collaborating with you. I have had the gift of knowing Stacy now for a number of years, and we've had the joy of kind of like dancing through different relationships together. I first met Stacy in a colleague-like role in Miami when we both lived in Miami, Florida. And we're working with, mental, emotional health and well-being and sharing this in the community. And yeah, I'll never forget the day that we met. We actually got a chance to eat lunch together. And then I had the gift of being able to work with Stacy one-on-one as integrative wellness coach, my blend of that with therapy. And here we are today. We've moved through many roles, and now we get to literally share this event together. So super exciting. And as Stacy mentioned, so I want to take a moment because I really love us in your bio, so I definitely want to share that with everybody. And Stacy is an experiential therapist and breath worker. And lately she's been working in collaboration to do these intensives with people, really powerful transformation sessions that she can maybe tell us a little bit more about. But immersion can be the catalyst for such powerful work, and working with like breath work and such experiential practices, which are also near and dear to my heart. And if you've been following along, I know Carly, you've been here, and others who are registered, and experienced some of these things through the course of these events. But Stacy is passionate about helping women find the right tools to resolve trauma, consciously evolve, and harness happiness. With a combined 17 years of professional experience in both human behavior and business, she's fueled by her desire to empower women to operate at their maximum potential. An Alabama native, Stacy enjoys living a wellness-based lifestyle, incorporating nature, music, friendship, and adventure, and currently is doing so in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, and I'll actually add an update to that, also incorporating parenthood and pregency.
Yeah.
Two new roles of
Congratulations.
adventure. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you shared that also. Thank you for sharing. Roles is something we're going to be talking about tonight as we speak about activating alignment and what that means as we evolve over time. But for everybody who's here and who's registered as well, if you're not familiar, every time we do these events, we also give back. And so tonight we're giving back to Boulder. Tell me the name. Boulder Birth Center, I think. Holistic Birth Center.
Yes, Boulder Birth and Holistic Center.
Thank you. Boulder Birth and Holistic Center. And so what a gift, right? This is that active exchange of reciprocity where we're here receiving and giving, and also giving back into the community. So definitely inspired by where you are in your journey, and talk about alignment, right? Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just go ahead. I want to just share a little bit about tonight. There is a famous quote you all might be familiar with that is, "The map is not the territory it portrays." The map is not the territory it portrays. And I really love this quote, and I think that it inspires the way that we unfold these health empowerment events. And we will be speaking some about alignment, and we'll also be engaging experiential practices. So we'll be looking at the map, and we'll be walking the territory together. There will be some opening for questions and reflections. There will be some different guided practices, and we'll also be engaging some energy medicine to help integrate and activate everything that's going on in our lives. And so feel free, if any questions arise, comments, the chat is always open. And Stacy and I will be kind of checking in on that together and following along, and then we'll be opening up periods as well. And if you are watching the recording and questions come up, things that you want to share, you're going to receive our contact information in the email where the recording is available. So by all means, the same floor is open for you, even if it's after the event. So let's just take a moment, and I'm going to invite us to ground in and arrive a bit here together. And so if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze and just feeling into the body. Just allowing the whole self to be just as it is, and inviting a full breath in. Smooth exhale, releasing. And again, full breath, opening to receive. And perhaps opening the mouth on the exhale, loosening the jaw. Just noticing if any adjustments need to be made here in the body. And on this next breath, as we receive the in-breath, imagine you could invite all of the energies of this day, whatever they are, whatever has occurred, just to arrive right here. Whatever way is available, rooting in, grounding in. And in the mind's eye, just imagine as if we were all sitting around a fire together. Maybe resting in our camping or Adirondack chairs, or whatever your favorite chair around the fire might be. And as we sit here together, I invite this feel to carry along with us throughout this workshop this evening. And I invite each of us, myself included, to just take a breath and take a second to recognize why we're here. Why did we say yes to being here this evening? What's the intention? The theme of activating alignment, practicing what we preach. There's so much in here. So what does it mean for you to be here? What's your why? There's no right or wrong. Deep breath. Smooth exhale. And whatever comes top of mind first, maybe it's a person that inspired you or an experience, just taking another breath and checking in to see if there's anything underneath that, anything a little bit deeper within the center core of the self, or why, the intention for being here. And perhaps just raising a question, maybe there's an answer, maybe there isn't. What would I like to walk away with this evening? Deep breath in. And on the exhale, imagining that we could just place that into the fire. Just resting that in the fire and allowing it to be both brought to life through those flames and let go of. As we hold space for our intentions, as we hold space for our hopes, expectations, and one more breath, just allowing everything to be. Smooth exhale, grounding into this moment, here and now. Gently inviting the eyes to open, perhaps following the breath. Taking the shoulders up and back and down as we feel into the whole self right here, right now. And so I'm going to invite you on your pad and, or in the chat if you want to share intentions that rose or anything that you're noticing about yourself in this present moment, here and now. Just taking note of that if there's anything you want to walk away from. And like I said, you can share it or you can just kind of keep that to yourself. And as we consider alignment today, this piece, like our personal alignment, what does this mean? How do we define alignment? And I think there's a lot of words, right? There's a lot of that map. And we're going to, as I said, continue inviting us to walk that territory and for me, a big piece of that territory lies in the felt sense. So it's not just what is alignment, but it's how does alignment feel? What is alignment embodied? And so as we move in, I want to share a story. In preparation for this topic, I was called to remember this experience that I had. So when I was in high school, I feel like this was like ninth, 10th grade, sitting in health class, learning all the things, nutrition, sexual education, say no to drugs, right? Like all of this stuff coming through. And the teacher, the person that was in front of the room, Mr. Tate was his name. And, dear Mr. Tate, thank you for doing your job and keeping us under control in that classroom. Not an easy task. But what arose for me was that we called Mr. Tate Pat Tato. And we called him this, right? Like, high schoolers, they joke, they tease, they make fun of their teachers, right? But our health teacher was not taking care of himself. He was smoking in the back room. His food was sprawled all over the desk. He was very overweight. He was not meeting the things that he was teaching us in the curriculum. And it became a joke. And therefore, the curriculum became a joke. And so here we are, teenagers who really probably needed some lessons on sex and drugs and nutrition and all the other things that come along with that. And that first layer, that surface layer, was that it was funny, right? That there was this contrast, this person telling us, but we could clearly see that they were doing something different. And that next layer is that not only was it a joke, but it made the material a joke. It's like, how do we adhere these beliefs? How do we incorporate this when there is what I would call a misalignment, right? It creates this dissonance. It's like, where's the authenticity? You're telling me to do this, but I see something else. How do I make sense of this? How do I bring this into my belief? How do I make this my own? And I think that's a really big deal. And when it comes to, this saying, probably you've all heard it. It's like, do what I say, not what I do. And I feel like this was an old adage. This was a generation's adage, and it was in a way of value. It was a thing, right? Parents saying, like, do what I say, not what I do. I'm having drinks, don't drink. I'm doing XYZ, don't do that. It was a way. But today, we need something different. And the way that we live and the way that we're drawn to live and the things that we're called for are requiring something different. It's requiring, in my opinion, and in the way that I see it and attempt in my human nature to live this life, that it's really important that we practice what we preach so that it doesn't become a joke, so that people can sort of try it on for themselves. And so I'm going to hand it over to Stacy to share a story, and then we're going to just kind of, see what's also percolating for all of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that story. I remember the first time that you shared it with me, and I know that you didn't call him this, but the name that resonates for me for this teacher is Mr. Potato.
Yeah.
And it's like the visual that I get in my mind, that's the name that I've like created for him. And the story really resonates for me because for me, it wasn't Mr. Potato, but for me, it was this small community and religious box that I was raised in. And constantly receiving the messages of, this is what a good woman looks like, and this is how she behaves. And yet behind the scenes at home, I would see something different. And it was this constant message of confusion for me. Like, wait, so be this person, but then it's also okay to be this person if no one knows, right? So really confusing. And I think that's the story that like awakens for me when we talk about alignment comes back to this place that you mentioned of embodiment, a felt sense around alignment. So I intellectually saw the messages of misalignment throughout my childhood and even my adult life. And I felt alignment when we met, essentially.
Mm.
And I remember the moment in which we met. You talked about like that day that we were at a professional event and we shared some lunch together. And I can remember my life being in such misalignment with these messages that I received from my entire life about who I should be, yet how I was feeling on the inside that didn't meet up. And then I connected with you and was like, man, she's got something I want. And I didn't know what exactly that was, but in hindsight, I can see that it was living a life of alignment is what I was feeling in that moment energetically. And I wanted that. I knew it was something that I wanted to move towards, and I didn't know how. And so, it's a journey, right? It's one thing to be awoken to the sense of saying, um, I want more alignment. And it's a whole nother journey to actually move towards that, to try it on, and then to consistently embody it. And I think that's what gets me so excited about this topic today is that, not only does alignment and misalignment show up in so many different flavors and ways, and there are also just as many flavors and ways that we can recognize it and move towards it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. It's really so powerful. I know we were, talking about this, but just to hear that is really very powerful. And it's also inspiring, so I just want to kind of open it, to those who are sort of taking this in and just I invite you if you want to share something in the chat, if you want to jot it down for yourself, like if there are, I imagine we all have stories. I know I have a laundry list I could share of these experiences of one or the other, right? Like seeing the contrast knowingly or unknowingly. And sometimes like in high school, I didn't think about it as much, but now, many years later, I'm like, whoa, that had an impact. That made it a joke. So here we are all smoking pot around or doing whatever. And it's like, it's okay because we're learning something different, but we can clearly tell that the other people don't agree either, or whatever that is. And the same for seeing a model of what feels aligned. It either way, both allow us to check in and we can feel that.
Mhm.
So just considering, what those stories are, those moments, some of them are little micro moments, for you. And as we're here, and I invite those shares, and also we'll be opening up some more space to talk as well as we move forward. But I just want to take a second and share a couple of images here, because when we think about alignment, this is what comes up for me, as we talk about how, as we walk, right, what does it feel like? And this image, I just came across this literally. This is unfiltered image that I came across in North Carolina a few weeks ago, right? Middle of fall, like this radiance, and actually, I don't want to give you my words, but I just want you to feel into that yourself and notice. And maybe it's not the image for you of that speaks alignment. But when I feel into like, moments when I've known, maybe I've seen it outside of me, maybe I've felt it in me, what alignment feels like. And so I wanted to share this. And I also wanted to share this. Oopsies. Hold on. Okay. Are you seeing the bird? So as we've been preparing, these two images have just stayed very front and center for me. You know, the clarity of the reflection of self, the ease, the flow, the radiance, the vibrancy, the groundedness. And so if it feels good to you, maybe just closing your eyes for a moment, and maybe it's allowing whatever it feels or looks like to you. And if one of these images resonate, maybe just holding that in your mind for a moment and just noticing how that feels in your body. And, you know, like Stacy, like you said, right, it's not like alignment isn't a place we arrive at. It's not a like check off the list and we're done. There's a book by Jack Kornfield that's titled After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. And he's not exactly talking about alignment necessarily. He's actually talking about meditation and like an enlightenment moment. But I feel like we could kind of put the two in a similar category, whether it's something we experience in a moment of alignment or it's, you know, an experience we have of knowing who we want to live as or feeling confident and good and strong about like, yes, I did that, I said that thing, I made that phone call, right, to have these moments of alignment or periods of time in our life of alignment. And sometimes it's like you shared, Stacy, like it's seeing someone and feeling into that and being like, oh, there's something there that I want, right? And then the laundry, the work, right? We might have an idea within ourselves. We might have a plant medicine journey and be like, yes, oh my gosh, this is it. I got all the things. And then 3 weeks later, it's like, wait, where did it go? We get these glimpses of who we're becoming and who we want to be. And sometimes we're really there. And other times we're maneuvering. And so it's this piece like after the insight, the laundry, once we know, all right, I'm moving in this direction, then we do the work. We show up. What is that? You know, and it's these micro movements. Sometimes it's the big things. Sometimes it's the conversations we really have been needing to have or whatever else those big things might be. And sometimes it's the micro decisions that we make. Do we get up when the alarm goes off or do we hit snooze 10 times? And how does that feel in terms of who we are intending to become? And so let's just take a breath and exhaling and feeling into the body here and now. Just maybe calling to mind that fire and any intentions that came up. And you can do this eyes opened or closed, but just for a moment, calling to mind the roles that you hold in your life. Maybe it's child, mother, daughter, employee, boss, partner, sister, you know, any of the roles that we have. Maybe it's teammate, right? We're complex human beings. Not only do we have a variety of roles, but we have a variety of interests, passions, desires. And so let's just take a breath holding this. It can be such a beautiful thing, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. And so let's just ground in. Whatever's here is totally fine. And these different roles and passions and interests, they can sort of pull us in different directions or call us in different directions. And so how do we know what's aligned? Just take a deep breath. And if it feels welcome, if the eyes are closed, I invite you to open your eyes. I just want to share one more image with you as we consider this, right? And this, I was recently had the opportunity to travel to Sedona. This comes from a beautiful stupa there. And this is a medicine wheel, an indigenous people's medicine wheel, right? And I just imagine us in the center and these, you know, the paths that you can see, they represent the 4 directions. And we could consider this our passions, our interests. Which direction do I turn? Where do I go? And yet we can come back into the center. And there are some specific ways we can do that. And we're doing that woven through this evening tonight. We're doing that with setting intention by feeling into the body, tapping into our internal wheel of direction, our internal GPS, which is embodiment, the felt sense. This helps support us as we open to the impermanence. So we recalibrate, who am I? What am I becoming into today? And knowing that it's okay. Knowing that it's okay. And so if it's welcome and comfortable for you, I'm going to invite you again to close the eyes and just inviting a breath. And on the exhale, feeling into the buttocks, feeling into the legs, the whole self here and now. If you're not sitting, if you're lying down or walking, just feeling where the body is touching the furniture or the ground. One more full breath. And exhaling. And on this next breath, as you breathe in at your own natural pace, calling to mind a time, maybe a time in your life when something felt misaligned. Maybe it was a person you witnessed, like in my story. Maybe it was a personal experience, behavior and interaction, the person, a place, pet, an object. And just for a moment, holding that, whatever comes top of mind, just trusting. There's no judgment here. Everything's welcome. And if for any reason you feel like you're drawing a blank, maybe go back to my story or Stacy's story and see how that feels, or if there's anything else that rises for you. Just noticing how this feels in the body to hold this idea of misalignment in the mind. Just taking a breath. Noticing any sensations. And let's take a full breath in. And on the exhale, just imagine wiping that slate clean. We're going to do that one more time. Deep breath in. And exhaling, wiping that slate clean, releasing. And on this next breath, gently allowing an idea of alignment, a memory of a time when you felt really aligned. Maybe it was a period in your life, an interaction with yourself, with another person, the place, with a pet. Maybe it was witnessing someone and knowing, that's the direction I want to go. There's no better or worse here, just breathing. Just allowing this to be felt, noticing how holding this idea in the mind feels in the body. Breathing. Inviting a full breath. And again, we're going to exhale and just wiping the slate clean. We're going to do that one more time. Full breath in. Coming right here and now and wiping that slate clean. Exhaling and feeling into the root of self in this present moment. Inviting the eyes to open. Yeah. I'm going to hand it over to you, Stacy.
Yeah. Beautiful connection. And I'm actually going to allow us to just maybe close our eyes back down for a moment. And coming back, we just explored 2 visions of self, or life experiences, or things that we witnessed. One in which we tapped into misalignment, and the other in which we tapped into alignment. And so letting your body wisdom just speak to you now, asking yourself the question, which part of me, misalignment or alignment, wants to be explored further tonight? And just listening and noticing which part wants to be heard, wants to be seen. And then allowing yourself to just land on that part of you. And maybe seeing if there is another name for this part or this experience. Maybe misaligned or alignment doesn't quite feel right. Maybe you want to name this part something else. And so just noticing what comes up. And once you feel landed on the part that you'd like to explore more, as well as what you'd like to call it, taking a breath around that. And slowly coming back to the room around you. And with this knowing or this invitation to deepen into one part of self, I want you to pick up a pen and paper. Maybe look around the room and see if there is another place in which you might want to do some writing. And so we're going to move into this exercise of exploration where we allow ourselves to write, which creates this opportunity for thinking and feeling to integrate and to just see what arises with this part that's calling to have a bit more of a voice, to be seen, to be explored. And so with your pen and paper now, we're going to take about 7 minutes to just write. Becca, if you want to make me a presenter, I'll turn on some music in the background.
Mhm.
And so as you are kind of settling in and finding your place that you're ready to write, Carly, if right where you're at feels good, stay there. If you want to move off screen or somewhere else, total permission to do that. Yeah. Okay. And then reconnecting with that self. And as you get ready to put this pen to paper, I want you to embody this part of self that you've just identified. So becoming that part of self, either the alignment or the misalignment or whatever you've named it, fully becoming that part of self. Beginning your letter from this place. I'm going to choose alignment today just to give you some examples. So from the place of alignment, I would start my letter and I would say, "Dear Stacy, I want to introduce myself to you." And then allow yourself to flow. I'll start the time now, and I'm going to go ahead and place 2 other questions in the chat that could be prompts that you explore during this writing. Allowing yourself to just breathe and flow. 30 seconds. And so just beginning to wrap your letter up and find a good stopping point. And allowing the final few sentences to conclude. Mm, Once you've found your stopping place, just allowing yourself to sit back in your chair or lay down on the ground, whatever feels available to you right now, closing down the eyes and just noticing the support that's available to the back. Wherever the back is meeting the chair or the floor beneath you, just welcoming in that support now. Taking a deep breath. And then as you feel ready, moving, allowing the eyes to open and returning to the room. And now moving to a new piece of paper and bringing in some of those colors or that art medium that you found. And in this moment, we're going to give ourselves about 4 minutes. So pretty quick. I'll turn on some more background music for you, but 4 minutes. And I want you to just allow yourself to, whatever it is that you're experiencing, whatever, maybe something came up for you in this letter, maybe there's a connection to this part, but I want you to allow yourself to just create some sort of piece of art that represents either what you're feeling inside or what you're feeling based on your expression to the paper. There's no expectation here for what this needs to look like. It's simply just allowing the mind and the body to continue to integrate, but in just a slightly different way. And when the music starts, so will your timer. Taking a few moments to just kind of put the final strokes on this piece, knowing that you can always come back to it. Just dipping in and coming back out. And then taking a few moments to just maybe notice and reflect what's present for you. Maybe taking in your letter or taking in your piece of art. And just seeing if you can see any single message that may be coming up for you based on the parts that you met in your meditation, what came up for you as you wrote from one place, or maybe what happened when you expressed that through other mediums. It's one single message. Mhm. And when you feel like you have that, just coming back to the screen. Mhm. Take a deep breath. And then knowing that there is an opportunity, if you want to be seen or witnessed in your message or any portion, there's a brief opportunity for that before we move into fully integrating this meditation and writing and art that you've just allowed yourself to flow through.
I'll jump in briefly and thank you. That was beautiful. I really appreciate the writing prompts and, even just starting, it's like, I feel like I didn't work with like the additional questions yet. I definitely feel like there's more to write. And I was like feeling into that prompt of like which part I wanted to spend more time with and also chose alignment. I feel like there's been a lot like moving through around that. So I would actually, after this, I think at some point, like to go into the misalignment also and like bring this there too. Um, but it was cool. And I didn't have any colored pencils with me, but this was my drawing.
Oh, it's blurred.
And can
Oh,
you
wait,
see
there
it?
we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's kind of like, it's like sunshine, right? So it would be like the light. And this is kind of like the rocky fragments, like the gray fragments. And then the words that I wrote after was like, it all serves, it all belongs, the alignment, the misalignment, all of it is supporting the becoming. And those words, that's kind of like how this felt like the rocks, right? They can be heavy, they can be stones, they can be like, I don't want them there, they're uncomfortable. But it also, for me, like stones work with me. They're a healing tool. They speak to me, they come through my work. And so there's also such a gift. And so there was this like beautiful contrast, this invitation to like surrender and accept and allow like all of it, if that makes sense. And like the rocks also being the obstacles or the misalignments that have been like, get off me or get away, like once I actually finally see them. So just this like paradoxical relationship. And I guess the last thing I'll say is that like there's a Rumi quote that I love that says, live life as if everything is rigged in your favor. And so I just feel like holding something about like holding the whole of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. 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 I love that. And The part that resonated with me, that all of this belongs,
Mm,
right? And I think so often we come back to this place of like making misalignment wrong or bad, or that we're somehow not living life as we should be, right? And it too belongs. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. And so, that invitation, is there anything you want to say, Stacy, before I kind of shift in? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think whatever message that came up for you, like, I mean, I shortened yours to like this all belongs, but
Yeah.
whatever message may have come up for you during that final piece, like seeing if there's a part of that can be integrated as we move into this final energy healing. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you. And I love that piece that you shared and that you pulled out, right? Like it all belongs. It's so true. And we need, right, going back to that story, Pat Tato, just the alignment gives us the contrast that allows us to see a lot of the times, right? It's like, oh, I see what that person's doing. I want that, or I don't want that. Or, oh, I know how I showed up in that conversation. I want more of that. Wow, I can't believe I said that, or that was amazing, or that was spot on, or like, I never want to do that again. That felt horrible. I can't believe I said that. Who was that? What happened? And if we can stay if we can stay with it, right? So coming back into like the center of that medicine wheel and the center of ourself, and being here, right? This is one of the reasons why several times tonight it's like we take a breath and I invite us feeling into the buttocks, feeling into the body, feeling into the self here, because it's in that stability that we gain the trust that we can look, and we can look at the alignment and the misalignment, and from there just determine, right, plug into our GPS from that groundedness of self, from the trust that we're cultivating over time. These are all practices that I don't see any of them as like check, done, got it forever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. And
I think
so, yeah, please.
I didn't mean to interrupt your thought.
You are fine. Nope,
Yeah,
go.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually wondering, Carly, I wanted, and Susan as well, I want to let you guys know that if there is a part of your story that maybe you want to share, we can also stop the recording if you want to maybe share a piece or a part of that as well. So,
I appreciate that. I am good. I'm just taking it all in. I'm enjoying every moment. So
okay.
it's wonderful. I did write down, I'll show you mine. I have no problem with that. I did spend a little too much time on the detail of the grass, but that is oh no. Here, let me turn off blur.
Oh yeah, the
See if
blur.
that'll help. Okay. So
Oh
I did write
yeah.
down the it all belongs because that really resonated. But yeah, I think just in all of that, um for my like misalignment alignment, it all kind of brought up like one moment recently where like I was outside just like this giant field of grass and trees and all the things, and I sat just happened in this whole field. I just happened to sit like on the anthill, and
Mhm.
then immediately bitten several times, just all over my legs, and then got up, moved, was really stressed out, so upset that like that was the one spot that I just happened on, and then once I like settled in, I was moved through those feelings, and then yeah, I think realized like in when I'm feeling most aligned, I am like honoring just the oneness of everything and just feeling, I wrote in my letter to myself like you are the ants in the
Mm.
anthill, and all the things that make you uncomfortable in that alignment of like being with nature, like the bees and the spiders, like they're also part of everything that you are. And so yeah, that's kind of what my drawing started being, was just the all that belongs. So that piece that you pulled out like really aligned with that too.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. I love your vision of like the oneness too, right? Like the ants are biting me and I am the ants. We are all one.
Yeah. I need them so much right now, and also I respect them. I understand.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So powerful. And so let's just take whatever's here, all that's here. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if they're not closed already, or just lowering the gaze. Right. And even this is a practice, even this is a tool. It helps us to eliminate some of the stimulation that's around us, and it helps us to feel in, to turn toward, right? The whole of it, the sunshine and the ants, the soft grass and the little bites, right? Without so much of our natural instinct that wants to run away or seek more of. Just being right here. Let's take a full breath in. And smooth exhale. We're just going to tune into the energies here and work with within the modality of body talk. So just knowing I'm going to be kind of sharing what comes up, but there's an invitation here just to receive. So with that, let's take another full breath in. Loosening the jaw, softening, releasing through the mouth, exhaling. Knowing that Stacy and I were watching time. We're going to make sure everybody gets out when we said, and there's nothing you need to focus in on at this moment, just honing in on the breath. You'll hear my words, but even those, just imagine as if they're clouds passing in the sky. There's nothing you need to hold on to or remember. One more full breath. And exhaling, releasing, grounding into this moment, imagining as if there were roots growing down and out the buttocks, the legs of the chair, legs of the body, connecting deeply down into Mother Earth. This beautiful energy, nature that we are actually always connected with, because as we've said here, there is a oneness. We are nature, breathing. Just allowing the breath to resume into its natural rhythm. And with each exhale, grounding in a little bit more. So what's coming up here as an agenda, which is like an overarching focus, is allowing. We're working with this word allowing. There's this felt sense of porousness, right? It's like a sponge that can absorb and soak things up and be squeezed and let things out. Pores allowing flow, receiving and releasing. So we're going to bring that in here. And there's a specific focus on allowing in the energetic field. So for a moment, just feeling into the skin of your body. Maybe imagine that we've got a piece of chalk, and let's bring that piece of chalk just in the mind's eye, right above the crown of the head. We're going to take that and we're going to trace it down all along the right side of the body, coming down to the right shoulder and across the right arm and down side body and the hip and the side of the right leg, all the way down under the center of the right foot and to the center of the body, Just in the mind's eye, we're taking that chalk and we're coming across the center of the left foot and coming up the side of the left leg, the whole side of the body, just feeling into skin, the body here, this chalk tracing the outline of the left arm and shoulder, the neck, side of the head, all the way up to the crown. We're going to take this chalk and we're going to come down the back body. That's just the center of the head, really feeling into this physical body as the outline is traced. Coming down the center spine, the center body, all the way down to that space in the center, bottoms of the feet. And we're going to go from that center, middle, left and right foot, up and around to the front, and drawing that chalk up the center body, all the way up through the center of the legs, coming up into the pelvic region and up the center abdomen and torso, all the way up the neck, face, all the way up to the crown of the head. Just breathing, imagining with this breath you could fill in this physical body, noticing any sensations that are here. Let the rest of that chalk dissolve. And on this next breath, as you breathe in, feeling into that space around the physical body, that energetic space. Sometimes we refer to it as the auric or morphogenic field. So just imagining that we have a dial here, and in the mind's eye, we take that dial and we open up the porousness of this energetic field. We open it up with the vibration of love, this witnessing of it all belongs, safe, I'm cared for, I'm loved, all of my experiences support my becoming, my evolvement, my alignment. Deep breath. Smooth exhale. Just breathing here. Gentle breeze, like the breeze of spring or beautiful fall day. Whatever that perfect temperature is for you. Just imagining this coming in and out of this energetic field. This is part of the self. Can't see it with the naked eye, so we don't often think about it. Fine, just noticing it here. Good. And we're going to check in with the body chemistry. And so if it feels welcome, I'm going to invite you to just take a fingertip and take a little lick of saliva. And then I'm going to have you take that saliva and just rub it underneath your collarbone. So this takes some of that, what's going on the inside, and bringing it out on the outside of the body. We're just going to check in here. All right, and so we're balancing an allergic response around the emotion of fear. And what comes up is, it's like bold and highlighted, right? Contraction. When fear arises, stepping into the unknown. There's a big highlight on that, right? It's very natural, very normal. It's nothing we're doing wrong, but the body mind tends to contract. We're sort of genetically predispositioned to inch away from or run away from change, even though it's really our nature. Just taking a breath and balance this in here. And this is linking into a general consciousness piece. We've got 3 things coming in. So the first is we're working with relationship with time. And this has to do with mortality. Just taking a breath, exhaling. Right, this big thing, life and death, it's really all one solid stream, the in-breath, the out-breath. We're working with that relationship to mortality, and this is anchoring into the head brain. Okay. So we're opening up the way that we're processing things around our relationship with time. The next piece is we're moving into general consciousness in the area of fear and guilt. I have everybody take a deep breath. And we're working in the area of fear and guilt around inhibited behavior. This is like, the hiding. And sometimes people hide by being loud and boisterous, and some people hide by being really quiet, and all the range in between. So however we do that, it's natural, it's normal, needed. But fear and guilt and inhibited behavior, particularly hiding, this is anchoring into the heart, which means we're opening beliefs, perspectives, ways of seeing the world. Because there's patterns here that are ready to shift. Breathing. And the third piece, general consciousness, is in the area of separation. And so Carly brought in this word oneness. I'm going to invite everyone to take another full breath. Okay, and we're working with separation, control of others. Deep breath in. This is anchoring into our gut brain center for wisdom, for knowing. And I just feel like we're pouring in compassion, right? It's like, I see your suffering. And so just allowing to come to mind any age in your life that wants to rise for you. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 22. Maybe it's an age that you haven't been yet. Maybe it's 55, 18. Maybe it's all of the above. Any moment when behaviors or hiding or fear of change, life, death, come up for you. Where a little bit of just witnessing, seeing, bringing a tender hand, a tender heart could have been helpful. We get to do that right now. Deep breath in. Smooth exhale. We're kind of wrapping all of these pieces here up into a beautiful package. And we're going to link this in with a hydration piece. I'm just going to bring in some fresh water here. If you have and you want, you don't need to, but you can also take a little fresh water on your finger and you can rub that right under your collarbone just to bring that in. And we're bringing this hydration directly to 2 areas. So we're going into the large intestines and also the diaphragm. Okay, we're working with all 4 phases of water here. Deep breath. Exhaling into that rootedness of self. Good. And I'm going to have you just take about 3 more full breaths at your own pace. And I'm just going to tap this in. So we're balancing that body chemistry, balancing to that allergic response around fear, contraction. This is linking into these general consciousness pieces. And we're bringing this hydration through the diaphragm, right? Opening the breath to that large intestines, letting go, letting be, and really allowing. So we're going to bring that word. I'm actually going to spell it out, ALLOWING, as if we're inserting that vibration right into the large intestines, right into the diaphragm. One more full breath. Smooth exhale. Good. And you can just rest and continue to receive, or if you want, you can take your hands and we're just going to tap over the top of the head, tapping this in, and you can get all around the head. So you can come around the sides of the head and just very gently, right? You can even do this off the head. That's how gently it can be. We don't need to tap hard. You can come all around the back of the head. Just tapping this in. Wake up, body, mind, pay attention tapping over the heart space. We're going to move the hands over the chest. Just all around the chest. Anything that's been coming up here, just tapping it in very gently into the upper and the lower chest. And then we're going to bring the hands down around the abdomen, and we're going to tap all around here. Above the navel, across the navel, under the navel. Breathing. There's no right or wrong, right? You can be active or you can just receive. Both are perfectly fine. And just noticing if any more tapping wants to come in. Maybe your body wants another round overhead, heart, abdomen. Feeling like a couple of those as I'm just tapping all this in. Okay. With each exhale, just imagine, any of those obstacles, any of the obstacles of thought or belief around something not belonging, being released down that rootedness of self into the loving hands of Mother Earth. Beautiful. And if it feels welcome, one more full breath. Bring the attention again into the energetic field of the body. Checking in with that dial, noticing what that porousness is. Maybe it wants to open a little more. Maybe it wants to close a little more. Just noticing like you've got this dial and it's safe. You can maneuver it here now at will. And bringing the attention on this next breath into the physical body, remembering those lines of chalk that we drew, feeling right here into the skin, body. Noticing where the body is grounded. And just imagining as if my hands were right there in the room with you, coming and just pressing ever so lightly over your shoulders. Linking you here with the earth energy, with the ground. Beautiful. One more full breath. Open mouth, exhale. And you can take a few more of those if you want, gently inviting the eyes to open whenever that feels ready, taking your time. Taking your time. And we always, in this practice of energy medicine, it's always kind of a question that comes in toward the end of like, is there anything we need to do here? Any home practice that's coming in? And, so this option, we already talked about it a little bit, but what is coming up is that like sort of, it could be really beneficial if it speaks to you. We're all sovereign beings with our own choice here, right? But to do the other side, whatever side of the coin that you chose or that spoke to you first, that it's like, let's do what we're saying, it all belongs. And I think, the cool thing is everybody will have the recording, so you can just rewind and Stacy can guide right through again. You don't even have to guide yourself, although you could do that. And look, it was like 10 minutes total. So and kind of beautiful because we have a new moon coming up here real soon, and so it's really nice. Maybe you want to take a few days. It doesn't have to be tonight, it doesn't have to be tomorrow. Sometimes it's nice to let things percolate. This is going to be processing, right? So we activate everything here in this energy work tonight, and it's going to be processing for a couple of weeks, right? What that means, if you're not familiar with all this body talk language, is that everything is activated, and it goes like our body goes through Chinese medicine cycle. Every 24-hour cycle we process, and so it sinks in a little more and sinks in a little more and sinks in a little more. Nothing that you have to like think about or do, but sealing it in a way with this other practice, right? It's like the shadow and the light, the aligned and the misaligned, the ants and the cozy grass, right? Like all of that. So thank you. I want to open it here to questions, reflections, anything that's coming up to be spoken to or shared. So anyone, is welcome there, and we will have some more specific leads, or Stacy or anyone. Yeah.
I think the first thing that I want to say is that body talk integration, I kept feeling like, is she's just talking to me?
Mm,
We just working with, because every single thing, landed, and I felt it actually had some tears come up of really, and the words that came up for me are, it's safe to be in alignment. Safe to be in alignment, and coming back, and I think just remembering that truth in my body was just really beautiful.
mm.
Yeah. And when you pressed your hands onto my shoulders, I felt like I was back in the room with you from many years ago, and it felt very connected and nice. Yeah.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And those words, it's safe to be in alignment. Like, what a mantra. Woo! And it's funny because what pops up, right, is this, like, in contrast, the hiding, that word hiding, right? Because in many lifetimes, in many generations, in many lives, even now today, it's not always safe. Right. And this is where we come back into our center of the medicine wheel. Is it safe for me to be my full light right here? Well, maybe with these people, not with these people. Maybe that's alignment in that moment, that discernment. But ultimately, if we can see it that way, then it's safe to be aligned. To know, turtle shell on, turtle shell off. But can we have both directed by the choice within the self?
Yeah, that safety reminder, so nice. And I felt it too. And like immediately after sharing, I like had a little bit of that fear coming up. Like I know I've been working on being seen more, and like then following through, doing it, like going into the body talk practice, I had feelings to work through over it. And that just moving through that practice, I felt that safety, and having that fear acknowledged and recognized without even saying anything about it was insane. So just beautiful, just really, so same thing. Yeah, it was like this, this feels like it's for me personally, just, but it's so beautiful that it's just for, the collective that shows up here, and that everyone else also gets to kind of move through that as they move through this whole event on their own time. So really cool. Just wanted to use that to say thank you both so much for this wonderful, wonderful event.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating with us. And it is, it's like, it makes me think of like the word micro that I was using before, and like the macro is in the micro, and the micro is in the macro. And that's what I hear both of you speaking to, and even in this work, right? It's like this, who listens to and tunes into this, it's our session, and it's my session, and it's your session. And so to be able to feel that and allow, that's powerful, because it's like, oh, wait a second, I'm here with the group, but wait, it feels like me. It's like, yeah, both and. Right. And that's an allowing. Yeah, that's the oneness. Like, yes, that was yours. That was for you, Carly, and you, Susan, and you, Stacy, and me. I'm not separate from with that. And then it's also for us. And so what it's like, just there's I don't even know it as a specific quote, but like an idea. And I imagine maybe one of you can help me with this, but it's this idea of like, kind of like, be careful the judgments that you're making around other people, because you never actually know what's going on the inside. and like to experience, this is one of the reasons I am like obsessed with energy work and you know, this modality, because it's like that. It's like, like the drop of water is the ocean and vice versa. And it just helps me to remember that and to see that through such an experience as this. So really beautiful. And when we're talking about alignment and hiding or revealing, and doing so from right that our internal GPS, the felt sense, the territory, but also holding space for the map, like big. And so questions and reflections are always welcome. As I mentioned at the beginning, just because we close here tonight, it doesn't mean that it has to end. We will be sending an email out with Stacy's contact information, my contact information, any other things that came up tonight. I'll probably share that some of the images in there just so people have them, right? Like such a powerful tool to come into the felt sense. And just to be concrete, and Stacy, I'm going to invite you to help me with this. I just want to share, right, like some of the tools that we shared here tonight that we might not have like specifically spoken to are intention, reflection, embodiment, right, like turning toward the felt sense of the body, visualization. Okay. And I'm also going to say imagery, and I want you to speak a little, any words I'm missing. I know you pulled in some other things there, Stacy.
Allowing was the other, I mean, I don't know. I think you kind of hit them all.
Yep.
Yeah, in that piece.
Right. And we reflected in different ways. There was writing with prompts, right? Reflecting, and there was imagery reflecting and feeling into the body reflecting. There was hearing someone's story reflecting. Right. So I just want to kind of pull that in, not to be overwhelming, but any one of these tools. Right. And then everyone will have the recording so you can go through and do it again and run it again and see what comes up, or pause it and dive into an area. Oh, I heard the story about the health teacher. I heard the story about growing up in a home and seeing different things. What comes up for me? You know, what about the image of standing in the center of that medicine wheel? How does that feel? How do I do that when these pushes and pulls, right? And so many beautiful things. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Becca, for having me on tonight and sharing this space and tools and energy. It was just a really lovely experience.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your gifts and your shares. And Carly and Susan, thank you for being here. Everyone else who will be tuning in. It's such a joy, right? This is what we're here for, cultivating community. When we engage, we align. And when we align, we thrive. And this is like not a one and done. And it takes a village, right? All the cliches that are like so true.
Yeah.
So I sprinkle those in. Yeah, and just to mention again real quick, the interfaith prayer circle, you know, sub in the intention, the word that works for you, right? Like the intention circle, the peace circle. I'll be sharing some stuff about that. And then, yeah, I think we've got a fun lineup coming into the new year as well, with events, and always a pleasure and privilege to collaborate. So thank you for bringing your gifts here within these communities tonight, everyone. Have a beautiful evening.
Thank you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Susan. Have a good night. I'm going to close us out.
Bye.